Lawson, the man who fired the fatal shot that critically hit 3 rival club members, has been sentenced to 4 years imprisonment at the Wellington High Court. Lawson, 31, previously pleaded guilty to charges of unlawfully possessing a firearm and a representative charge of wounding with intent to cause grievous bodily harm. The shooting took place in Dixon Street in Wellington on April 23, 2022. Sparta has obtained a copy of this High Court judgment, which is attached in the description of this video and is freely available for anyone to download and have a read. Lawson, a Killer Beez patched member, was drinking with club associates including a patched mongrel mob member at various bars in central Wellington. The 3 victims who were the members of King Cobra had also been drinking in town that night. They were celebrating the 21st birthday of one of the victims named Dekiah Poe. At some point, Lawson's Killer Beez group became aware that the King Cobras were around. As they considered them their enemies, they started looking for them in the town. At about 5 a.m. Lawson and other Killer Beez group drove in a convoy and parked on Inglewood Place in Tro. This is where they started following the King Cobra members. Lawson's group then walked from Inglewood Place to Dixon Street and menacingly closed in on the KCs, who stood on the footpath outside Calendar Girls, a well-known adult entertainment venue in Wellington City. During that particular moment, a member of the Beez boldly approached the KCs, loudly shouting and screaming, in an attempt to start a confrontation. However, his efforts were met with an unexpected punch to his face. The impact of this forceful blow reverberated through the surroundings, causing a ripple of shock among the onlookers. Visibly shaken, the remaining Killer Beez members quickly withdrew, making a hasty retreat back towards Inglewood Place. At Inglewood Place, a member of the Killer Beez produced a concealed 12-gauge shotgun from his trouser leg and handed it over to Lawson. The exchange seemed charged with an air of vengeance, suggesting that the unfolding events might be motivated by a desire for revenge. The hidden shotgun, now in Lawson's possession, became the sole weapon used in this fight, causing critical injuries to the 3 victims. Citing revenge, the group then approached the King Cobras again, and this time Lawson fired the gun from his hip in the direction of the King Cobras as they were walking around the corner of the dark alley. The victims were about 10 meters away from that point. The shot struck all 3 victims, critically wounding 2 of them and injuring the 3rd in the face. The first victim had shotgun pieces stuck in his brain and close to his heart. He suffered facial fractures, leading to urgent surgery to release pressure on the brain and treat his eye injury. The fragments in his eye required removing the eye itself. The second victim sustained gunshot wounds to the face, neck, chest, brain, and mouth. He also required surgery to replace a piece of bone in his skull due to brain bleeding and swelling from the gunshot wounds. He still experiences weakness and reduced sensation in his hand, making him unable to drive. The third victim received a cheek wound from shotgun pellets but declined immediate medical treatment and was not admitted to the hospital. After the shooting, Lawson and his associates fled the scene and police and emergency vehicles arrived on site, and a warrant was immediately issued for his arrest for unlawful possession of a firearm. Lawson was eventually apprehended 6 days after the incident on 29 April, and was charged with unlawful possession of a firearm and 3 charges related to wounding with intent to cause grievous bodily harm. Lawson was jailed and denied bail, and spent months incarcerated before his hearing date, which was in September this year. During the hearing, the judge declared a starting point of 9 years imprisonment for the charge of wounding with intent to cause grievous bodily harm. This took into account the severe injuries sustained by the victims, the use of a close-range shotgun that had the potential to be lethal, and the imminent danger posed to the innocent members of the public where the attack occurred. However, Lawson received a reduced sentence due to significant neurological issues, as well as addictions to drugs, alcohol, and gambling. He was diagnosed with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, FASD, and a traumatic brain injury, which the court recognized reduced his culpability. The court acknowledged that individuals with FASD should not be judged in the same manner as those without such difficulties. Lawson's upbringing was marked by emotional and physical abuse, particularly from his stepfather, a member of the mongrel mob. He faced numerous challenges in school and dropped out early, eventually joining the Killer Beez gang during his initial imprisonment. Throughout his life, Lawson experienced social and economic deprivation, exposing him to gangs, violence, and drugs from a young age. He also exhibited symptoms of ADHD, mild intellectual disability, and adaptive impairment, making it challenging for him to function effectively in society. He struggled with verbal communication, reasoning, attention, and memory, as well as reading and numeracy skills, which became evident during the events of April 23, 2022. Lawson's substance abuse history included cannabis use since primary school, methamphetamine use since the age of 13, which escalated to 1 gram of methamphetamine use per day in the last 10 years, reaching 2 grams per day when associating with the Killer Beez. In addition to substance abuse, Lawson faced severe amphetamine use disorder, severe cannabis use disorder, severe alcohol use disorder, and a severe gambling disorder. Lawson expressed remorse for his actions and wrote a letter of apology to the victims and their families. He received a 25% guilty plea discount, and an additional 30% discount was applied for his disorders, remorse, and conditions, ultimately resulting in a 4-year prison sentence. During the sentencing, the judge told the court that from Lawson's reports and tests, she clearly understood the challenges and neurological issues he is facing. The judge also commended Lawson's lawyers for their efforts, emphasizing that without a good lawyer, Lawson's sentence would have been significantly higher. The judge also conveyed her hope that Lawson's rehabilitative needs would be comprehensively addressed upon his eventual release.